Hello, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we have a very interesting show for you this morning. Looking forward to all of my guests. Let me introduce my first guest, who is Holly Dekarsky. Hi, Holly. Thank you for being here. Holly is Director of Downtown Development for the EEDC, which is the Easton Economic Development Corporation. Don't get me started on how cool that institution is. I'm fortunate to be a member of the EEDC. I always feel like a fish out of water, but that's okay because you guys are so cool. But Holly is here, and she's going to give us an update of what's coming and what we can take advantage of as citizens in this dynamic town for the next few months. So, Holly, tell us what's going on. Thank you for being at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Well, thanks for having us. Okay, so this by no means is an exhaustive list, and there will be more things to be added.
I know.
But this will get you started anyhow.
Good.
So, coming up in April, their first Fridays kick off in April.
Oh, excellent.
For downtowns, and they run through December,
Yeah.
so those will start up. The first one will obviously be April 1st.
April 1st.
Yeah.
Yep.
The 9th annual Spring Classic Bike Tour is on April 9th. The Easter Bunny.
Can you explain a little more about that?
I don't host that event.
Oh, you don't host that event. Okay.
Sorry.
I remember seeing people last year as well.
Yeah,
and lots of bikers.
Yeah, so everything, if you want details, if you want to sign up for any of these things, everything's on the eastondowntown.com website.
Okay.
So we list all the events, and then if there's links to sign up and get more information, you can get all that stuff.
And Nick will put that up underneath.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We host the Easter Bunny and the Egg Hunt, which is at the courthouse. So that'll be on April the 16th. It's from 10 to 12. It is free. It is open to the public. It is for kids up to 12 years old. And we have, we'll do two different divisions so the younger kids can get a little bit of an advantage over the older kids. But the Easter Bunny will be there. He'll roll in on the fire truck. He'll be there for photos. And then afterwards at 11 o'clock, there's a free showing of the movie Hop over at the Talbot County Free Library.
Oh, very nice.
So, yeah. So it's a good day.
That's really nice.
Now, if that's not your thing, at the same time on that day, the fire department has brought back their Stop, Drop, and Roll 5K, which is open to kids and adults, and it is a run or walk, which is a great event that they actually host, and it leaves from the fire department. The Avalon will be bringing back the Easton Farmers Market, and that starts on April 16th. It is every Saturday. It runs through December 17th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
And just if you've never gone to shop for produce and other things, I'm doing this not as a paid political announcement, but as somebody who has taken advantage of it. The produce is fresh. I use a lot of garlic. I like to cook. Nobody's surprised. But the garlic I get there, it's amazingly fresh. It's poignant and delicious.
Yep.
And yes, so I hope people will take advantage of that as well.
Yep, and they usually have live music.
Yes, there's always live music, yes.
And it's actually, if you don't know, it's in the parking lot down by, like, Tiger Lily down that way, that end of town.
That's exactly where it is. Right behind Tiger Lily, actually.
Yeah, so there's plenty of parking down there. And on April 30th at the Academy Art Museum, there will be a volunteer fair, which is we're looking for, there's a lot of us who run nonprofits in downtown, and we need volunteers for various events. And so this is something where nonprofits can show up and talk about who they are and what they do, and what need they have for volunteers, and then this gives a place for volunteers to actually go and maybe find something that sort of fits their passion and their needs and their schedules, so.
And that's when?
That's on April 30th. There are more details to come. We will send you more.
Yeah, please.
But it'll be at the Academy Art Museum.
Wonderful.
Okay. Moving into June and July, again, not an exhaustive list, but this is what we have for right now. So in June and July, the Chesapeake Children's Book Festival, which is put on by the Talbot County Free Library, is on June 11th, and it's held outside in the parking lot across from their building. A new event for downtown is Delmarva Pride, and that's going to be, it starts on Friday, June 17th, and it runs to the 19th. The outdoor festival portion is on Saturday the 18th, and it'll be on Harrison Street between Goldsboro and South Street. And then on that same day is also the Juneteenth celebration that is put on by Academy Art, BAM, the Frederick Douglass Honor Society.
Yes.
I hope I didn't miss anyone. I think that's and that is on June 18th. It's from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. They have live music. They'll have food vendors and entertainment. It's a good kid-friendly.
That's always a wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful program to attend. If you've never been, let me urge you. The food is great, and the music is wonderful, and it's just a great way to bring the community together.
Absolutely. And they close South Street for that, so
Yes.
it's over around the
Yes.
Academy.
Yep.
And then just put this on your calendars to save the date, plein air. The official dates for that are July 17th to the 24th,
Yep.
and there's going to be...
We'll talk. You'll come back.
There'll be
We'll
more to talk about.
plein air for sure.
Yeah. And then, again, these are save the dates for the fall. Chesapeake Film Festival is September 30th to October 2nd. Those will be in-person viewing times, like here at the Avalon and around town. And then the 3rd through the 9th, they will bring back the virtual portion again. So
Good.
for folks that want to be able to take part from at home, from wherever you are, you can participate. Academy Art will have it's the 25th anniversary of the craft show,
Wow.
which is October 21st to the 23rd.
And that's another thing. If nobody's been, the craft show is amazing.
It is. It's incredible.
This
There's
isn't
amazing artists
just people
there.
making sticks
Yeah.
out of popsicle,
No, it
stuff.
is incredible fine art. It is.
The talent, the level of product, from
Yeah.
great jewelry
Yeah. Oh yeah.
to wonderful art to
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
kinds of
There's
stuff.
sculptures, everything.
Yeah.
Highly recommend tickets to the Friday night preview show.
Yeah.
It is a great
Yeah.
It's great entertainment. It's
Yeah.
a good time. And then obviously always a fan favorite, Waterfowl Festival. So that'll be November
Yes.
11th.
Yes.
So get ready for that weekend too. So
Wonderful.
There's more things to come, but
Well,
that's sort of the highlights. for
As
right
I
now.
always say, that there's tons to do in Easton. It is an amazingly rich and full town. The EEDC participates heavily in that.
Yeah.
I think we have terrific leadership on a lot of these things, and we're grateful. If you have any questions, contact the Easton Economic Development Corporation, and Holly, who, as I said, is the Director of Downtown Development for the EEDC, will answer them.
Happy to.
Thank you for being on the
Thanks for
Rabbi's
having us.
Roundtable. Anything else you need to...
Nope. Get
Good.
outside, enjoy the nice weather, and come downtown and shop. Our
That's-
shops are
yep.
expanding back to their normal summer
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah,
So there's plenty of things to see and do.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We'll have you back.
Thank you.
And we'll be back momentarily, Easton, on the Rabbi's Roundtable.
The Avalon Foundation and MCTV programming is proudly supported by Easton Hardware and Floor Covering. Since 1939, we're still there and we still care.
I got the shot, man, because I believe in the science.
I got vaccinated so I could hug my 5 kids and 14 grandkids.
We all got vaccinated.
Well, as a survivor of COVID, I really did it for other people.
I've also had the virus. I do not want it again.
We got COVID and then they sent me to Johns Hopkins. Oh my gosh, it's the worst thing anyone could ever go through.
I genuinely feel like it's my patriotic duty to get vaccinated.
Do it for your state, do it for your country, do it for you.
I talked to my friends and family in India and Pakistan, and they don't have that access whatsoever.
I'm tired of Zoom. You're tired of Zoom.
It's my turn to take a chance.
Take advantage of that privilege.
Get the vaccine, please, for me, for your family.
And I got it because of what she said.
And we are back, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, and now we are seated with Mara Abrams and Nadine Sachs. And thank you, ladies, for being here. We're going to be talking about an event that's coming up at Temple B'nai Israel, which is very cool. You know what? Tell us what's coming up, and we'll talk about that. And then I have one story, so go ahead.
So we're lucky on April 9th. What we are presenting is a 7:15 in-person event at the temple, or if you wish, you can participate online and just sit in your living room and watch. And what we will be doing at the temple is a virtual performance of the Israel Ballet, doing 2 wonderful ballets. And then we are going to have the pleasure of an interview with the artistic director of the Israel Ballet. And the whole evening will be capped off by a beautiful dessert and bubbly reception.
Yes, that's so cool. Tell us about your background first, in terms of how you got connected to dance and all that sort of thing.
I was lucky. I grew up in New York City, and my dad was a musician. And at one point in his illustrious career, he was in the orchestra for New York City Ballet. So on Saturdays, I would sit in the pit and be enamored of watching all the ballet dancers, and that piqued my interest. Went on to study ballet, attend the High School of Performing Arts.
Oh, really?
Joffrey Ballet, Boston Ballet, some regional companies, and I actually was in Serenade twice, which is one of the ballets that we're going to see the Israel Ballet
What
do.
did your father play?
Oboe.
Really?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. Nadine?
Well, I'm from South Africa, and at an early age I started dance lessons, fell in love. I went to a high school in Johannesburg. I actually grew up in a little town. My mother had to drive like an hour to the, the local ballet school. But for high school, I went to a high school for the arts. So, it became very serious. This is what I wanted to do. I then, I actually auditioned for the local ballet company in Johannesburg and got in, but very last minute with a friend decided to go try out for the Royal Ballet School. So for an extra year of training. So my friend Carolyn and myself went off to London. It was a fantastic year, And so we got to see the actual Royal Ballet Company perform. Like we could go to the performances, we could watch them in rehearsal, which was unbelievable. And then when I was in London, I actually saw an audition notice for the Israel Ballet. And my brother was living in Israel at the time, and I sent some photos. That's the way it was done then.
Wow.
Sent some photos and then flew over to Israel, and I danced in their company for a couple of years.
Oh, how cool. Yeah. Well, when I was 5 years old, my mother decided I should take tap dance lessons.
Okay.
The worst 6 months of my entire life. Then I started marimba and vibes and became a musician. So I am enamored of and impressed with your backgrounds, and thank you for being here and sharing more about what's coming up at Temple. I will not be dancing, however.
Well, I found out that at the St. Michael's Y they have adult tap.
Yes,
and
they do.
And that's something I want to try,
they do.
So we can all do tap together.
I know that. Let's talk more about what we're going to be seeing and give people a reason to think about coming and participating.
Well, so this is going to be a virtual performance, which actually, I was living in Baltimore, and there was a movie theater there that would show these live streaming of the Royal Ballet, like full-length ballets. And for some people who might think, oh, this isn't, going to be in a proper theater, I have to say it's a very interesting way of watching a ballet, because unlike when I was in London and we would get tickets, we were sitting so way back, we saw the dancers this big on the stage. Now, Mara and myself have not seen this recording yet, so I'm hoping it's done in a similar way, but you get to see close-ups, you see the dancers' expressions, you see the sweat pouring down their faces, and it's really an amazing way of seeing a ballet. So, I think for me, I almost would have a hard time going back in the theater, because so it should be a very interesting way to see the Israel Ballet.
Cool. And
we're going to see two ballets, and when we were working on creating this program, we were wondering what ballets to show. They did give us a choice, and we thought, let's do something a little offbeat instead of Nutcracker and Swan Lake, which are ballets that many people have seen. These two, actually, one of them is Paquita. To be honest with you, I have never seen it. But Serenade is a legend in our times, and a very beautiful, more contemporary ballet. So one is very classical, very old school, what you would think of ballet, with little lush costumes and a storyline, and virtuoso movements, and the other is more dreamlike, with incredibly beautiful music by Tchaikovsky, and it should be great. I'm excited. I think it's wonderful. And I think we live in a community that will embrace this. I hope so. Well, we're in the, excuse me, we're in the Avalon. The Avalon presents all kinds of
artistic opportunities for the community.
Absolutely.
And I think it speaks to the depth and the sophistication of where we live.
I think
on so many levels.
I mean, on the Eastern Shore altogether, Chesapeake Music, the Oxford Community Center with the Tred Avon Players.
Absolutely.
The Arts Center in Easton. There's so much art here, but as for ballet, I haven't seen that much in the short time that I've lived here, but maybe that'll grow.
Yeah, because I mean, I saw a live streaming of an opera here, which
Sure.
was also a very
Yes.
beautiful way to watch it. But again, I haven't noticed any ballet.
Tell us a little bit about the Israeli Ballet. Do you know about the company much? They train their people, or is it strictly Israelis, or they select from talented folk from around the world?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, good. Yeah. Well,
we talk about that in the interview that the audience will see on April 9th at 7:15 at our temple in Easton. But in short, all of the above. They have a ballet school. They train them rigorously from the time they are little tots. They draw from all over Israel. In addition, they recruit dancers from all over the world, right? I mean, when you were there as well.
Yes, I mean, when I was there were about 30 dancers, and only about 6 of them were Israelis, because the army is an issue. Because all young people are required to go to the army. But in the interview, you'll hear about a special program for very talented dancers. They actually have to try out, and then they get a special status where they can do army and dance at the same time. I don't believe they had it when I was there many years ago.
No, probably not.
But they do that now, and so I'm not sure we got the exact breakdown, but there are definitely way more Israelis in the company now, and of course there've also been a lot of Russian immigrants.
Yes.
But yeah, when I was there were British, South African, American, Italian dancers from all over.
Very interesting. Very cool.
It's interesting too, the recruitment process, because when I was dancing, if you wanted to get into a company, you had to go to the location and audition for them. That makes sense, right? Now, with COVID, it turned the whole world upside down, and just even this aspect of it. So dancers started to videotape themselves, and they showed it, sent it on to Israel, and they are now selecting their foreign trained dancers virtually, which makes so much sense, because can you imagine coming from New York, getting off the plane, it's 3:00 in the morning, and now you have to perform.
Oh.
And also the expense of the travel.
Absolutely.
I'm sure dancers appreciate that as well.
Just the sheer drain on energy and strength. Oh, please, I made that flight more than I want, and we'll do it a couple more times before we're done. But yes, I understand. What's the hardest step in
I think
ballet?
It depends who you ask.
Well, that's what I figured. I mean,
for me, it was turns.
Okay.
And it just amazes me, because I watch a lot of ballet on YouTube, and what the dancers are doing today is unbelievable. In my day, so it's called a pirouette, which is a turn, and then there's also the fouette, which is a bit more of a difficult turn. But in my day, like a pirouette, if you could do 2 or 3 clean turns, that was pretty amazing. I'm watching videos where these dancers are doing 8 or 9, and I don't know that I understand fully how the training has differed. I mean, dancers are so athletic today, but I'm totally amazed.
Yeah, well, everything has changed in terms of training and development, and even in, as I said, I play drums and marimba. How I learned is totally different than the way the modern teachers are teaching. So that has...
But Mara might have something different.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because when I was growing up, the ballet world was so prohibitive in terms of what you could do and what you couldn't do, even physically. They didn't want you to bulk up muscle-wise. So I think the athleticism that you see today shows that it's a totally different way of thinking. They're doing Pilates, they're lifting weights, they're cross-training, and as a result, it's a very different kind of choreography, but it's still an art form, and it still has to look effortless. And it's still not about an audience clapping every time they see a pirouette. It's art.
Sure, yeah.
Really, that's why it's so exciting, and why I think that there is an audience for it here.
What do dancers do when they retire?
Everything.
Well, I've had a couple of friends, actually from the Israel Ballet, who went on to open up their own, studios. And they've
cool.
got, the one lives in Japan, the other one's here in Chicago. So that's an option, choreography. But, ballet gives you some really, I think, good skills. You learn a lot of discipline.
Of course.
Don't be late. You could not show up to a class or a rehearsal late. But I think there's a lot of creativity in dancers. I don't know. They go on to do quite a few different things. I don't know. Do you know any, Mara?
I think many go into the medical field, actually.
Really?
It's interesting because, as Nadine said, there's such discipline involved in training to be a ballet dancer from the time you're very, very young. And when your career ends, you can apply that to academic work. And you also have a tremendous knowledge of the human body, of movement, of exercise. So, for example, I went on to become a pediatric physical therapist, which largely involves analyzing how a child is moving, what's abnormal about it, what muscles do you need to develop to get them to move like a typically developing child. So for me, the ballet background was invaluable.
Sure, in terms of movement and also inspiring that next step. Right. Where'd you go to school?
Columbia University.
Very nice. Very nice. I've heard of that. That's a good school.
That's what I said about the academic background, because I went to a high school that didn't have a science lab. We had 1 or 2 math courses. And so to get into physical therapy school, I had to take organic chemistry, physics.
Yeah.
And in my wildest dreams, I'd never thought I could get through those courses. But your brain got wired to do it, and I did it, so.
I'm not surprised. Very cool. Well, if this is successful, we'll bring other ballet performances here?
I'd like to.
Yeah, we'd love to.
That would be so cool. I'm very excited about this. This is going to be
it should be wonderful.
A wonderful performance. Again, if people want to find out more information, how do they get information on this?
I think there will be publicity that's coming out even now. The Attraction magazine has an article in it.
Good.
So that it gives the contact information. Talbot Spy has done a lovely article with contact information. They can go and contact Temple B'nai Israel, which is located on Route 50 in Easton.
Actually, it's 322.
Sorry, right.
7199 Tristan Drive, Easton, 21601. I happen to know the address, coincidentally.
Because they could call to purchase tickets or go online to purchase tickets,
And the process is very easy. We've tried to publicize the event by putting up posters in St. Michael's, Oxford, Easton, Tillman, up in Stevensville, Centerville, Cambridge.
Good.
And the link is on the poster itself, and it works very easily.
Last question, I think, is an important question. What would be necessary for us to have a live performance in Easton? A live ballet performance? Is it possible? Something we can think about? Something we can plan for?
I would like to think so. I mean, we need a stage that is big enough. We need a stage that has a floor that doesn't have too many dents in it. We're going to trip. We need wings for dancers to enter and exit. I looked upstairs. The Avalon might foot the bill.
Yeah, well, it's great theater.
There's always a high school gymnasium. Please don't wax the floor before the dancers come. So.
Well, it's something to plan for and think about. So as I've always said, we live in a very embracing and encouraging community, and it may be something that we can anticipate for the future. I would think it would be fabulous, actually.
Yeah, if not, we'll bring more virtually.
That too. And as long as I don't have to tap dance, we're good. We've been talking with Mara Abrams and Nadine Sachs about what's coming up on April 9th at Temple B'nai Israel. We're going to have a virtual performance of the Israeli Ballet. I'm very excited about it for a number of reasons. A discussion after, and food after that. So we got all three things covered.
And if you can't make it in person, you can watch it virtually.
Yes, and
it will only be broadcast at that time. We don't have the ability to stream it continuously, so you will have to watch it at 7:15 on April 9th.
Well, I hope we get good response,
Thank you.
I'll have you guys back. We can talk about how it went and what's coming up in the future, and I appreciate your time, and thank you for being on the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Thank you.
And Easton, we will be back momentarily.
Did you know? MCTV programming is available online. Find our shows like Rabbi's Roundtable, Carlisle's Chesapeake, The Shameless Picture Show, Conversations with Sherry, and the Avalon Theater Presents at youtube.com/Midshore Community Television.
And we are back, Easton, and I'm delighted that my third and final guest is the boss.
All right, thank you.
Al, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure as always.
And thank you for letting me do this for 15 years.
I know, it's really remarkable.
And it's beyond remarkable. But what's really remarkable, and one of the reasons that I thought it would be nice to have you come down, is to talk about the 100th anniversary of the Avalon. And you've been the head of the Avalon for...
I guess, is it about 14 years now?
Yeah,
so
wow.
a while.
Yes, and for those of you who don't recognize Al Bob, Al is the head of the Avalon. So
right. The anniversary that we're celebrating is the building was constructed. Actually, we're in the basement right now of the Avalon here in the MCTV studios. The building started its construction in 1921 and opened in 1922.
Wow.
So in the beginning it was a vaudeville house. It had all sorts of live performance that were the nature of the day. Even today, actually, if you go underneath the front part of the stage, the sort of apron that reaches out in front of the proscenium there, the orchestra pit's still there. It's just
amazing.
Covered by the stage, but the use of the building very quickly went from silent movie house, where you would have an orchestra pit or an orchestra that played along with the film, to talkie movies, to color movies, all the sort of following the whole path of
historical progression.
Exactly. And there are so many generations of people who have memories about that part of the story of the Avalon. It's been really fun to reach out to the community and get those stories. And certainly I would make the call out right now and say, if you have fun or interesting or funny or any really compelling stories to tell about the Avalon, we would love to hear from you. Please reach out to the Avalon Foundation. You can call our box office number, which is 410-822-7299.
I'll have Nick put it up.
That's great. Or send us an email. Reach out. We are really wanting to tell the whole story of this time, and it's kind of amazing to think that the Avalon Foundation, that is the organization that runs the building and does all the other things that I'm engaged with and run now, is a quarter of that century history.
Yes.
that's a big piece of that.
Absolutely.
And yet, as a kid, I saw Star Wars here. Yeah, some of my one of my favorite memories about my father was after watching Star Wars together in here, and he immediately started breaking down how the sort of story arc was really a hero story that you could tell as from a million, from biblical references all the way through. This is without having ever read Joseph Campbell, which apparently was a huge influence on George Lucas, which got you to the. So he was breaking down for me, sort of the power of the esoteric over the mundane through Star Wars, which completely changed my view of this movie that I thought was really neat.
That's a really good.
But insight. It got me to a place where I thought about the world differently, and where I understood my father differently. Sure. That happened in this building for me. Well, that's like a quick little story but there's so many of them. Experiences.
The fact that this was built in the 20s, and it's been such a part of the community, speaks again. They hear me say this all the time about the nature of our community, the power of our community, the sophistication of our community.
Yeah, no, it is sort of the shore place, the show place of the Eastern Shore.
Absolutely.
And when you think about the mission of the Avalon Foundation, which fundamentally is about building a stronger community, that is what we do, and it is how. When you look at the crazy quilt of things that we do, when we blow up explosives at the 4th of July, we run an art festival just a couple weeks later that is a major, Plenaire East, and we're here with the public access television station.
That's correct.
These things don't necessarily fit together in people's minds. We also facilitate the sale of turnips and, the farmer's market.
Yeah, the farmer's market.
Why do they do all these things? It is to convene community. It is to bring people together and remind one another of our common humanity and our connection to one another, and the fact that we are better as we are, the more we sort of respond to the reality of that. We are better as a community, we're better as people, that is the mission. But, bringing that back to the 100th, that's what this building did the whole time.
That's exactly correct.
It didn't have a nonprofit mission, but it did convene the whole community around shared experience. It was, sort of an all walks of life building. And, I guess here's another piece that I think, we really need to make sure that we acknowledge is, for much of the time that the Avalon Theater existed, it was during segregation, and the theater was a segregated space. And there are all kinds of really, bad memories about that. We want to hear from people with those too.
That's interesting. Makes sense.
It used to be that, black people were only allowed to go to the balcony, and and white downstairs, and that, is not in my recollection. That was all done,
before our time.
But a huge part of that 100 years, that was the truth. And as a community, I think that there's value in truth telling. Let's acknowledge what it is,
confront our history,
and hopefully, through that process, get past it all too. Certainly, the Avalon Foundation wants to be welcoming to the entire community. It is central to what our purpose is. That history is real too.
Of course, I always talk about how do you deal with hard history. Whether it's this or whatever.
Unfortunately, we're still making it.
We are making it.
The
question that I think is important is, how do you deal with it? You got to acknowledge it. You have to recognize it. You have to own it. And then you have to say, we did this. We can't do this again. We have to grow beyond. That's absolutely, for me, what's really important.
For sure. And when
you've done that.
When I think about a few years ago during our big holiday play, one of the kids that was in the play, her, I guess, great-grandfather was in the audience. And he was the projectionist for the Avalon many years ago. And, African American could not, have his, own family sit in the downstairs for the place that he was basically the key technical person in the building. And his sort of reaction, or sort of realization of change was seeing his beautiful great-granddaughter as a central figure in our play. There is a story arc there that I think is a really powerful one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it starts with understanding that there is actually a profound change and wrong that was made right in that to understand it.
And as a community institution, I think what you've done and what the Avalon represents is really powerful and positive.
We're doing our best,
and,
and
keep it up, because
it's been a wild ride this last couple of years.
Oh,
but
I'm
really happy to say that where we are right now, and it is so timely in the 100th year that there is like a real sort of rebirth and renaissance in how we are approaching everything, and there was such a big change moment that we decided that we're going to start programming in the fall in the theater again, and try to make that go. And we had bookings that were ones that we felt very confident should fill the house, and the audiences did not show up.
People were afraid,
and it's a terrible thing when your mission is about convening and including the entire community, to be in a position where we were having restrictions on who could even come. Right. Like, that was not easy for us to do.
No,
it is
for all of us.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but we essentially had a third of the audience that wasn't allowed to come, a third of the audience that was too scared to come, and the third that was left, was not enough to make the thing go. It was really very, difficult and frustrating. And we saw such a change in January where suddenly we were getting full houses again.
Yes.
And the fact that at this point we have gotten rid of all the restrictions, so we don't have any exclusionary policies in place. It just feels so much better. It is who we actually want to be.
Of course.
So
this wasn't anything any of us did. We had to respond. We had to be conscious of health requirements.
We had to make hard choices.
Yes.
And again, I hope we made the right ones.
You did.
We certainly tried to.
You did.
And, we will continue to try to get it right into the future. But here we are, and it's the 100th year, and we can celebrate it with our entire community and be.
And I am so grateful that you allow me to do this. I take great joy in the Rabbi's Roundtable. Mm-hmm. We've done some really interesting and, as you know, cool things.
You're telling the story of our community. I think it's a really important service that you're providing, and so
Thank you.
We're happy to facilitate it. It is furthering our mission by you doing your piece. So we're grateful.
As you know, I'm a big believer in not only your mission, but the mission of building community is part of what I've tried to do. And
absolutely.
We have been speaking with Al Bond, although he needs no introduction. Al is the head of the Avalon Foundation, and we're appreciative for all the hard work that you and everybody on the staff does.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's really a personal comment, because you let me do this.
I guess for this year, one of the things that we're really, we came to realize when we thought about celebrating with the whole community is even at capacity, the theater only fits around 400 people, and there are way more people who we should be celebrating with. And so, we made a decision that we were going to really lean into our summer concert series this year, and expand it so that virtually every Saturday in the summer is going to have a concert. It's I think there's 10 in total that we're doing, and that makes it possible for us to have as many people as care to engage be a part of it. So we're really pushing that as a big piece of our 100th celebration. We're doing some things that are specific for longtime stakeholders, folks that have really kind of you dance with the ones that brung you kind of group of volunteers and other supporters along the way. That's a piece of it. But again, the community piece, and one of the things that we're really hoping to do as part of those street concerts is have building tours where you get to see the whole piece, because a lot of people have been through the building as an audience member.
Right.
Far fewer have been through the whole space and really seen what what's behind the scenes and how it all functions. And so really inviting people to jump in and be a part of it, and hopefully come up with their own content and bring it here. Again, we're a community organization.
Absolutely.
We want everybody.
And we will talk more about that. But I just wanted to bring you on and say thank you for this, and also to acknowledge the 100 years of a very important community building, community stabilizing institution.
It is
the great job that you and the staff have done.
It is sort of the physical center of our little spot on the world, and it is also sort of the cultural center as well.
Absolutely.
And it's a place that hopefully we continue to bring people together and again further make that stronger community. That's
Absolutely.
what we do.
Easton, we've been talking to Al Bond, director of everything here. And thank you for being in the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on the 100 years. And as I've said before, you will be back at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Very happily, whenever you want me.
Thank you. Easton, you've been seated at the Rabbi's Roundtable. It's been a very interesting program, even if I say so myself. And we will see you next time at the Rabbi's Roundtable.